So we were just talking about how I'm having some feelings, right? About helping people with certain things that I have not achieved before. Right. And so Paige, tell him what you just told me, because I think it's really good.
So yeah, so the conversation was someone had inquired with Elaine if she could possibly help them with a project that they were working on. Now, she has done the project before, however, she was not wildly successful with this particular project. And so she was saying that she was kind of feeling some kind of way about helping someone where she didn't make like $1 million because after doing it. And I said to her, I said, well, that's a valid point. However, think about the fact that every Olympian has a coach, and not every Olympic coach has won a gold medal at the Olympics.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they aren't able to coach that person to the highest heights or to make it to the Olympics. It just means that they haven't like particularly checked that one off of their box. It doesn't say they're not qualified. It doesn't say they can't help the person, but every single coach for Olympians has not won at the Olympics or even made it to the Olympics, but they still can coach champions. Your thoughts on that?
Dang, that's good. That's I love that perspective and the way you're able to put that into an analogy. Like, oh, that makes sense. Because not all coaches has gone there, but it's that person in that corner that gets you from good to great. So that makes sense. I would say, do you believe that you can help this person go there?
I think so. I mean, I feel like, I feel like there's, and I was telling Paige that I had a conversation with a friend once who had kind of said, you know, that she would not hire somebody who had not gotten to the success level that she wants to be at. And so it kind of stuck to my little spider web, right? That I had to have done it successfully before someone else would hire me to do the thing, right? And so, I'm just kind of like, right? And so it's like,
I've got so many feels and things that spark as you talk about it. I think there's some misconceptions with success, and in some cases it is true. Like, hey, I've gone through the minefield, and hey, let me guide you there because and if you're going through a minefield, please, follow someone who's gone through that before because you don't want to die. Hey, that makes sense. But there's a different place of success too, where it's not about me behind you going to the mountaintop; it's we going up here together.
Yeah.
And I get the sense it's this person who knows you and is reaching out to work with you. It's not about if you've done it or not. It's that they believe that you're the person to help them do it.
Yeah.
And so whether it's, hey, we're doing it together and her win is your win is her win, and something shifts, you know how it's easier to do things for other people than it is to do for yourself. Right. And so there's a power of unity that you get to tap into in this particular place, because you know what? I might let myself down. Like, I know if I don't do all the work, but my goodness, somebody starts to pay me for something, or somebody believes in me, and somebody's now putting stock in me. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let you down. And so there's this place where it's like, okay, I'm challenged. Yes, I'm out of my comfort zone. Yes, I've these gremlins. It's like crap. it's. But my goodness gracious, there's this opportunity here. Where I'm not going to let you down. And this is the time where we get to flip the switch and, you know, show up, and you get to see like what you're fully capable of. Because you get to be that person who's saying, you know what, I take these people from here to here. There's so many business owners and coaches and entrepreneurs in the world that if you listen carefully, a lot of them are great at doing something that they've never actually done, but they're great at it. And they help other people actually do it. And then eventually they get to the point where they're like, you know what? I've been helping all these people do this. It's probably about time for me to do it for myself. You know? And so there's multiple paths and multiple ways. And this might be that heaven-sent opportunity where you get to kind of learn some things so that you can then, if you choose to, do it later. But this person believes in you and believes that you're the person to get them to go there. And if you can, this is so good. Oh my gosh.
I know.
You can hire the right person who knows how to get there. You can hire the person who knows how to get there, and they'd be the wrong person.
Yes.
To get there, right? But you can hire a person who doesn't know actually how to get there, but because they're the right person, it doesn't matter the methods or the how. It's whatever they need to get there in that particular point.
Yeah. And I also think, Fidel, that there's value in failure. The other thing I said to her was, you know, Richard Branson has had multiple businesses with multiple millions of dollars of investors behind him that have failed, but everyone still seems to go to him for business advice. So just because you failed at something, I feel like you have a better perspective to know what landmines to watch out for, what potholes to drive around. You can give that valuable perspective that someone who's had an easy road of it maybe can't give.
Yeah, that's good, Paige. Yeah, and there's that. That's good. And there's that place that's like, I don't want to let this person down. All of that. And your radar's up. You're on point. You're like, okay, I'm not willing to let this person fail. So if anything else, you're more on point versus the person who like knows it all. Was like, hey, this is the place. So I think it's probably your superpower. It's a gift.
Yeah. Well, and I told her like all of the things that I would do differently, like having gone through it and having now the hindsight to look back and go, you know what, if I was doing it, if I was starting over, this is what I would have done differently. Now that I know, you know, going through it, you learn all the things. And then so I see the value in what both of you are saying, is that just because it didn't 100% work out doesn't mean that I don't have something to offer.
Yeah.
I think you have so much to offer, and I told you that 6 months ago. So let's get it.
Tell her, girl. Tell her. I'm curious, Paige. What are your thoughts on this? Because this is what something's coming up for me here with this. Sometimes it's a place for boundaries. I know being a coach, right, or guiding someone, there's this place of learning how it is my client's results is not my responsibility. Their success, their failure, it's not mine. And something even like with this, it's a huge shift of learning, like, what am I actually offering and providing this person? And it's your wisdom and your expertise. Like that's what they get. How they apply it, and the work. Let me turn my phone off here. Sorry. New devices, right? Everything is still syncing. You know, how they apply it and the outcomes they get, that's on them. And I've learned, because even the hard way of not communicating this way, when maybe a client has hopes for something else and they haven't arrived there. I've failed at that, you know, a time or two. And like, what's the lesson learned here is that upfront boundary of here's what you're responsible of. The results, the outcome, I can't control that. But you get me, the wisdom, the expertise, the presence, the time, the energy, and how the support as you take the action to do that. And for me, it gets me off of the hook too of the outcome, you know, but also they get to take ownership over it.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. Extreme ownership is very important. It's a philosophy that I live by. I always say this with my husband, like when you're making a cake, right? Everyone has the same recipe, but sometimes that one person who loves cooking and loves feeding other people, their cake is so damn delicious. You don't even know. And you think to yourself, well, I did the same thing, but my cake is dry. You know what I mean? So it is them taking ownership, them making the contribution, and basing it on the best practices and the wisdom that you've given to them. So I'm all about the extreme ownership. Absolutely.
Paige, I love your analogies. It's amazing. I'm squirreling out a little bit here. And I'm having a moment at the same time. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, where's this gonna go? One of my coaches says it's not even about how far you go. You just need to be one step in front, or next to them. It's just that's it. So that top. But for Paige, Les Brown, world-renowned speaker, leadership.
Love Les Brown.
I mean, Les Brown, right? He always says, hey, never make a point without telling a story, right? Never tell a story without making a point. And so it makes me, so when you give these analogies and these stories, I'm like, girl.
Yes. Les Brown was at the Rise Summit, so I got to see him live years ago in South Carolina. It was really good. It was my first introduction to him.
Shut the front door.
And I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I'm going to give you guys a flashback moment because I don't know if you know Fidel. Yeah, you do know. I just celebrated a birthday. And my very first time that I was introduced to Les Brown was when I was 19 years old. A mentor invited me to come to an event, and that event had Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, and Susie Orman. And I was 19 years old and my life was changed forever. So I was introduced to those, personal development icons 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I've been following these people. So I've seen their progressions and, the ups and the downs and all this other kind of stuff, but they've always had very, very critical and important things to say. And it stuck with me all this time. I know. I'm like, I can't believe you were he was even married to Gladys Knight. Girl, where you been?
Under a rock. I didn't know who Gary Vee was until you came along and told me about him. So,
and that is my business crush. Even my family knows it. My family knows it. It's my business crush. I've loved, and he's been on the scene really writing for 12 years because, my son, I was pregnant when I read his first book. And then when his 7th book came out, my son was turning like 11. Isn't that crazy?
You've had life together. Oh man, y'all live together. Oh my God.
Right.
It's like
they know.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know about Les until just a couple of years ago, and then to learn how long he's been around. So Lane, I'm kind of like you. Like the last year I was in Washington is when I learned. I was like, what? And then I started listening to. You almost have to listen to all of his stuff to pick up little bits and pieces and the stories of his journey and where he's been, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, super awesome.
These are OGs for real.
Yeah.
So let's introduce Fidel, shall we? We just started going right to it because
that was the pre-show.
All right, so Fidel Ford is the guy that you call to ignite your spark and achieve more than you think is possible. He works with men, women, heart-centered entrepreneurs to embody their next level, create sustainable success, and have more energy, impact in the life, body, business that they desire without burnout or losing their spark. Fidel wears many hats. He is an influential motivational speaker, body, mind, life, and empowerment coach, retreat leader, writer, massage therapist, and a yoga teacher, working with a variety of individuals and organizations on the national and international level. He is also a proud military spouse and father of 4 children. He combines his diverse background, skill sets, and passion to maximize his impact, equipping others to have the mindset, motivation, and a momentum they need to spark. Welcome, Fidel, to our podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. So Fidel and I go back.
Stop for a second. You forgot a fantastic smile.
Oh, yes, he does have a very nice smile.
Thank you.
And he is going to be one of our keynote speakers at the Level Up to Scale Up Business Summit, May 21st, 22nd. Super excited. And he's a panelist as well. So we're getting double dipping on Fidel Ford. So very exciting. So let me tell you the first time that I met Fidel. So we had a mutual friend who was a massage therapist, and she said, you need to meet Fidel. And I was like, all right. And I show up to the coffee shop, and I never in my life ever sat down in a coffee shop with a dude who literally was like, tell me all about you. And I'm like, who are you? Because dudes don't do that. Like most men are very much about themselves, right? Let's just be honest. And it was so refreshing to have this very different energy. And you just heard in the pre-conversation, the different energy that Fidel brings to the table. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this dude. And the cool thing that Fidel, I don't know if I told you this or not, but my husband was like, Fidel's a pretty cool dude. And I was like, yeah, I know. He goes, I don't know that you know. And I'm like, no, what? He goes, when I had to take you to the hospital and I couldn't go in with you, I was scared out my damn mind. And I get a message from Fidel that just said, everything's going to be okay. I'm here for you, brother. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, he goes, nobody else did that. He's like, I don't really know the dude, but he reached out to me to let me know that everything was going to be okay. And I was like, oh, that's so wonderful. That just goes to the character of this amazing human being that we have on our podcast today.
Give me
I know, right? Like,
is this a virtual podcast or just an audio one or both? Because
hopefully it'll be both. We'll see what happens. But
oh man, woo! Oh wow.
You're just a good human. So can you just tell everybody the story of Fidel, like how I know your story, but our listeners may not know the story. So you want to give us a little rundown of how Fidel got to be where you are?
Yeah, man, goodness. Wow. And Paige, I got the sense that you have a question or something that as you were talking away and you wanted to say. I see you. I hear you. The story of Fidel. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's deep. And it's almost, I'm finally starting to be the person that I've always thought I wanted to be or could be, and it's starting to finally like reveal itself and what it actually looks like. You know, growing up, I always had this feeling of this thought that success looks this way, the person I want to be this way, and so life was about the striving to get to this place that I was going to be like, there I am. But when I checked in deep down inside, I never actually knew if it was possible, if I could even be there. And so now I'm in a place where like, wow, here it is. So story of Fidel. Short version is I'm a byproduct of people believing in me when I didn't have that belief in myself. And I just borrowed that belief and just began to apply it and to show up. And to eventually I began to believe in more in me. And to the point where I didn't have to borrow anybody's belief as much, you know, and I just started to say, what do I want to do? And taking some steps and going out there. And then with that, I saw what was possible for me, and it helped me to see what was possible for other people as well. And it was like, whoa, you can totally do this. And then it's just been passing on this borrowed belief and trying to instilling that in other people. Because when you look at the statistics, Paige and Elaine, like, I'm not supposed to be here. You know, I'm in my mid 30s. I'm a Black man. I'm married. I've got 4 kids. I'm the first man in my generational line to be married and have kids by like the same woman and still together, to be in business, to like all of these different things. And so it's this place of my life can be summed up where, you know, when the belief is big enough, you know, the facts don't count, right? Because if you just believe, the facts will change. So that's me, you know, high school educated, you know, I was managing a restaurant by the time I was 20, just hustle, grind, had 3 jobs in high school, right? It's just do, raised by amazing women, and just continue to show up. And eventually, kind of find my own groove. Got in corporate America, finally got my dream job in a particular way where my income like tripled overnight. And next thing you know, I'm part of a business team. And so just had a great career in corporate America, became a military spouse, lost my job. And all of a sudden there was this awakening of like, who am I? What am I now? And what does success look like? And a huge ego and a manly thing too of what's my identity, and struggled with that and becoming a military spouse and having kids left and right, and the constant just relocation being a part of a military family. And the reason why I say I'm a proud military spouse, because there was a time when I didn't feel proud. It was a time where I felt like I just didn't have control, you know, and so those words are very intentional. If now it's like, here I am. Along that way, I became a massage therapist. I got a massage one day and something shifted inside my body. And I was like, what is, like, I just my circumstances didn't change, but something was different inside. And I'm like, what is this? I got infatuated with the whole body-mind connection. I opened up a massage practice, hired a therapist, went to school, and then I regrew that practice over and over with every move, became a yoga teacher. And I was like, movement is kind of important. I'm like, what is this? And Paige, you were talking earlier as far as being in this professional development realm. I've been around leadership team development teams and trainings since I was 18 years old. And started reading books and going to the seminars and going to the functions. So even there was this mindset that was in me and this growth and getting into the holistic field. It was like, okay, how can I apply this? It's not just body and it's mind. And then after just relocating a couple of times and I wanted to create a more sustainable business model, started seeking out coaches, and then I started doing more coaching and helping people off of the mat and off of the table, and implementing things in their regular lives, and just having a business where no matter where I moved, I can still have that business. I could do something, I can grow and scale. So it's as if life brings these bricks, and you get to plant that brick, and then another brick comes, and even if it looks like it's something completely different, you just get that brick and you start to build this foundation. Like for me, it was the massage and the yoga, then becoming a coach. And then from there, it's like you get to step on these foundations and these bricks, and then there's a new perspective. And I was like, I think I want to speak. I think I want to do retreats. I don't know if that's possible, but there's something my body is communicating. There's a desire here that says, I want this. And what does it look like? And I said, I'm going to do it. And then I just took action and was willingness. Yeah, so if there's a legacy I want to leave behind, it's to demonstrate what is possible when you believe and you're willing to take action, and ask for support. So that's where we are now. Now we are settling into a new area, and life is good. Things are happening, and it feels like I'm just getting started. But I've had to learn I had to redefine on this journey, what it means. There was a year there where my wife was deployed overseas for the year. And so there's been I had to learn that sometimes going big is going small. I had to really shift what it means to provide as a man, where providing isn't so much resources and money, but providing is who you are. The time, like even look with my kids, is providing presence, providing time, providing energy. And there's like different ways to provide, because my wife is in a successful officer with her program and what she's going with her career. And I get to provide in different ways sometimes, and when I think about success and living life to the full, it's all of that, living life on purpose, with purpose, by design, right? But yeah, so this is me, Fidel. I just want to be me and let that be enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fidel, for those of you who cannot see us, Elaine and I look like bobbleheads because we're just nodding our heads over and over and over again. I had the privilege of meeting Fidel 2 years ago. We were both on a stage together, and that was just incredible. And one of the things that I love about Fidel is that he's very much like me, a global citizen. We have friends all around the world. And what happened was, I was in France talking to my friend in Italy. My friend Fidel was in Italy doing a retreat with someone that knew me from the travel space. And they were like, how the heck do you guys even know each other? And it was just crazy. It was like within like all of the, everything is interconnected, right? You never know what paths are overlapping, could cross, mutual acquaintances, and that kind of stuff. So I love the fact that you are also teaching your children to be global citizens. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Now, I love that term, global citizens. It's like, ooh. It's what the work that you both of you are doing here in this podcast, creating a life by design. Being intentional, on purpose and with purpose, being willing to surrender to ways of being that you thought might have been true, but maybe showing up differently because of the impact and the legacy and that people are watching, and be willing to surrender to self and to do that. When you are willing to say yes to yourself, to the desires, to the opportunities, even when you don't feel like you're capable of doing it, you never know everything else you're saying yes to down the path. Right? The fact that if I want to go back to the beginning, Elaine, we were talking about how we met.
Mm-hmm.
I had to reach out. I met that individual at a training in Columbus, Ohio, only to find out that where I just moved to, she lives in the same town. Then for us then to connect, then for us to be here right now. And there's this place that life is always working for us, always, every moment. But when we say yes and we lean into that path and that journey, there's other doors that get unlocked just for that fact of making that decision, and showing up. I didn't know I was going to be in Italy, all the things. And it's just keep saying yes, even when you don't know what's next or if it's possible, if it's in a line and desires in your heart, and just take intentional action, knowing why you're doing something, and going from there. But an example with my kids, this is huge. It's at the point where there's even kids in the neighborhood. We have like real talk. I'm noticing something's going on, and we're just when you're connected to your body and to yourself, and you know how you feel, you're better able to recognize how other people feel and what's going on in their lives, and you can kind of listen and feel for the mindsets and beliefs that are driving their show, and then you get to speak and mentor and influence them, on those different levels. But I am most proud to be able to be a dad, to be a father. To be able to be present and pass on these mindsets and these experiences, and for them to go further. I've got a dream for my oldest daughter, maybe all the kids, to be on stage together, right? And to set them up to I want to be the example that I wish that I had growing up. The example that I needed at that time, but wasn't yet available, and just try to do that. And I think that's like one of the ultimate legacies for sure.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, because right now, probably the last 3 or 4 years, I've been feeling really called to being the big sister you wish you had to everyone. And taking the experiences that I've had, the highlights, the challenges, and all that kind of stuff, and kind of help curate for people so they don't have to deal with all that stuff. So I totally get you on that.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
it is huge.
I need a big sister, come on.
Hey,
I mean,
follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
So it's actually really funny how like everything comes full circle. You know what I mean? And when you're talking about retreats and being in Italy, and one of my friends that I knew was with you in Italy, and I'm going, what the hell? Like, how is this even possible? And then to find out that you were friends with someone that I was doing work for, like the Kennys, Kate and Chris Kenny, right? And like what? Like, yeah,
amazing,
crazy stuff. But I also, full circle, is when I attended one of your retreats, and I've talked about this, is that I was kind of looking for permission to let go of my photography business.
Yeah.
Right. And leaving there, I went there looking for answers, got them, I guess. Right. And it wasn't until that was in July, and you were getting ready to go cross country and move to North Carolina. And the exercise that you made us do, and I had to go around the room and tell people and introduce myself that I was $50,000, which was the most uncomfortable thing. I had I wanted to barf, right? Saying that was really uncomfortable, but it was what I needed to do to get out of my comfort zone. And it was, later in October that I really had that overwhelming sense of, this is no longer bringing me joy. And I was like, done. Like, I am done.
Yes.
No, she was not done. She said, I'm done. I called her back, didn't even have time to call her back.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about photography, darling.
That's what I'm talking about. Photography.
Oh, okay.
Photography.
Come on, big sister.
Yeah, we're talking photography. And I was like, well, why don't you sit on it, blah, blah, blah. This girl sold her camera. She sold her lights. She sold all within like 12 hours.
Done. I was done. And it's just funny because I also love to give a good Fidel quote, right? And I don't know how many times on this podcast I've mentioned Fidel's name. And so this is the person that introduced me to that overwhelm and stress is an invitation to get back into alignment. And that was something that always stuck with me because I feel like it's so true, right? Is that being able to just pause and take a breath is like one of the one thing that we have still in life that doesn't cost us a dime. It does not cost you a dime to take a breath. It might cost you money to drink water because water is not free, but the breath is the only thing really left in this world that doesn't cost you a dime. And how important that is for just being in alignment, avoiding burnout, just identifying the stress. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And I know like avoiding burnout is like one of your signature topics. You want to share a little bit about your experience with that?
Yeah, totally. And you know, there's so many things we can talk about here with self-care and all those things. And in a way, self-care is overrated. That might be a talk for a different day, or at least our approach to it. This is about your thrival. You know, you being the best version of you that is absolutely possible. And it is impossible to be your best self, to create a bigger impact and more success, whatever that is, when you are just overwhelmed and in pain, when you're feeling stuck. You are not the old Snickers commercial. You're not yourself when you're hungry. You're not yourself when you're stressed. You know, it's not you. And there's an actual change in your body and in the cells when you switch and you go from this place of contraction when there's overwhelm and you make that decision. And the moment we say it's an invitation, everything from a cellular level shifts and opens and becomes more expansive. And it's only in that place where the ideas and the steps and the action plan to actually move forward, that's when the spark happens, that choice. And one spark can change everything, one thought. And so when it comes to avoiding burnout and stress and overwhelm is working for you. The one dominant thought that I want everyone to walk away with is everything is working for me. And going from that mindset and that thought process, how can I use this? How is this working for me? And then that happened that was something I learned for myself because stress was getting out of control in my life. 5 years ago, I started this I Declare War on Stress movement because clients will come in and tell me about their pain. And this is why my background has helped me even become a coach. With the coach, clients will come in and talk about their pain and their stress and their life. And eventually I was like, hey, there's something else going on here, right? And did you know that like stress is either no good or bad, but it's the thinking that stress is bad that makes it so.
Yes, that is so powerful.
When you're viewing stress as bad, everything you get from stress now is bad. Oh, there's stress, it's bad. And that shift that happens when you're able just to choose, it's an invitation to breathe, to ground down. When that oxygen begins to flow through the body, you think more clearly, you're more likely to make better decisions, right? Because what happens when someone is overwhelmed, right? All of a sudden, they're paralyzed, right? You're unable to take the action. And now you're behind in your goals and you're behind in your life, you're behind in your bills, right? Because you didn't do the thing and then you beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. Right? And then it's kind of like, oh man, and it's like, I'm just trying to catch up. And then you're not present at the dinner table because you didn't get the work done because you're overwhelmed. And now you're and your spouse is and you wake up in the morning, and you feel like I don't have the energy now. And then so when you look at the path of being in overwhelm, to stay in that path doesn't do anybody any good. So why not shift it and be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and receive a breath. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take an action. I'm going to do something different. Mm-hmm. So this is about your thrival and being the best version of you and letting the overwhelm bring you back into that alignment and bring you back into yourself. Because when you're in the flow, when you're in alignment, when you're experiencing joy, you don't experience the overwhelm and the stress. You're just there.
Yeah.
So it's an invitation to come home. You've gone too far in your head. Mm-hmm. You're working way too hard over there. You're mm-hmm. thinking way too hard in that thing. There's a graceful hustle.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes that I have up on my wall is, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? And it's just literally the acknowledgement that it's a choice, right? And that if you want to do something different, if you want to get different results, you have to do something different, because going along the same way that you're going is, how is it working? If it's not working, you have to try something new. And I always have to remind myself of that when I'm like, that didn't work out as well as I wanted it to last time. So what can I do differently? What can I, right? And it's just having that, just taking a moment to take a step back and have that reminder that if I want to get a different result, I have to do something different. So what is that thing? What could I try this time?
I love that. That's amazing. A question I love to ask myself and my clients, and it's how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? Because I can get into it's easy to get into the head and try to think of the steps and okay, how do I move through this? What's the action plan? But when I drop into how do I want to feel? And identify and listen for that, and like, but this is how I want to feel. And then taking that, when you identify that, the subconscious mind is so powerful, right? It doesn't differentiate the difference between the past, the present, or the future. It just takes in for what it is. And the same thing with the feelings. When you can look back on the photo, Elaine, and be like, oh my gosh, I remember this time, and then you feel those feelings, and it's real and living within you, right, Paige? And so it's like all the things. And so when you tap into, well, how do I want to feel? And you drop into that and you receive that breath, you start to feel that way. And then when you're embodying that feeling, it's easier to come up with that action plan. And what do I need to do here? And what's going to work? And now the action is more in alignment with how you're feeling.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I think that we do that on so many different levels, and that we should incorporate that more into our lives, that whole visualization component. I mean, I know for me, whenever I'm at the hospital or at the doctor and I'm going to get a shot or something like that, I make myself quiet in my mind. And then I picture myself sitting at a cafe in Paris, and then my doctor's she always says to me, it's like you like totally go to a different place. And I'm thinking, I do, lady. It's the feeling that I get when I am there. So I know one of the cornerstones and pillars in your life and in your business is the whole movement piece and the visualization piece and the mind-body connection. Maybe you can share a little bit more about that and how you came to discover that that really is a very important key to life.
Yeah. Through the professional development realm, I learned that mindset was everything, right? And to be positive. But now I disagree. I believe it's part of the equation. Like attitude, mindset isn't everything, but it's a difference maker. Same thing with attitude. It's not everything, but it's a difference maker. And movement is a part of it. You do research in science that when you move your body, you literally unlock certain things that happen when you move. And when I got invited to be a yoga teacher, I never did yoga before in a day of my life. And all of a sudden, like, you should be a yoga teacher. And they got all woo and hippie on me. Like, you're ready to do yoga, but you don't even know it yet. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm like, what, I hear what you're saying. I'm a different guy than most people. You're probably talking about that. And I remember taking my first yoga class, and I'm in yoga teacher training. I didn't even have a mat. I didn't even think to bring a mat. And it was terrible. It was hot yoga. I mean, it was like, whoa, and I'm like, no wonder I never tried this thing. This is hard. I almost threw up. But I'll never forget the feeling that I had after class. The lightness in my body, how productive I was that week, like just how mentally clear I was and was able to take place. Like, man, there's something here with movement. And I've come to learn that when somebody feels stuck in their life, oftentimes they also feel stuck in their body. Where the body has something to say all the time. It's like, are we listening to it? And when you set yourself free in your body, you set yourself free in your life and in your mind. And when you can know something but never feel it. And it's a feeling that you get when you have movement. And I could touch on so many things here. You can know you're loved but not feel loved. You can know you're successful, but not feel successful. You could go down the list of whatever it is. You can know every reason to want to be confident, but but not feel confident. And the movement is about the feeling. It's about creating an emotion. It's what you get to embody through the movement. I started roller skating recently. One of the main reasons I started that was because I really wanted to, but I had a fear and concern about what the neighbors are going to think if I just started roller skating in my neighborhood. Right? It's that whole place of being too much. If I had a story, a thing, it's like, Fidel, you're too much. You need to tone it down. You've got too much. And it's everything everybody else has said. And I'm like, I'm going to own my fear. I'm going to own that. I'm like, you know what? I need to reframe that. I'm not too much. I'm an abundant, you know? And so the reason I roller skate is because I know what it's like to feel like I can't do something. So I roller skate and I put on music. And when I roller skate, it makes me feel free. You know, and I strategically do that, especially when I'm going to be doing something that's going to be challenging. I'm like, I want to feel free to go on and do this thing later. Right now, I'm not feeling free, right? Like, I know I should be, but I feel this way. I want to go into this thing feeling empowered. So I'm going to go do something or I feel that in my body. And, you know, some things can't be taught, but some things have to be caught. You know, and that's what happens when you get there. And I'm like, now I feel on top of the world because I did this thing over there. And now I get to show up in my business, in my life, with my family over here because it's already inside.
Love that.
So, yeah, so yoga just opened the door to the power of movement. But movement for me, it's more about just the physical expression of Fidel, being able to fully express me in any way, what that looks like, everything from just posture to an activity.
And it's funny because I see you as being fearless. And so it's funny to hear that you struggle with that too, because I've seen you dance with strangers on the Edmonton boardwalk. I've seen you ride a bicycle with roller skates on, right? Like I've seen you do massages where you are incorporating body movement into the way that you administer a massage, right? So I always just find it fascinating that we have these expectations or these ideas about people and how amazing their life must be. But the reality is that we all struggle, right? We all struggle with the demon or the thoughts that you are too much, right? I don't know did I ever send you the Too Much Woman poem? I feel like I did.
You did. Yeah.
And like, so I'm curious if you could, you know, I know how different it must be to be a man who's more open than most, right? And what kind of like, do you ever get weird microaggression, asshole comments from other men who maybe are judging you or thinking, you know, that are just not sure how to handle the energy that is Fidel?
It's weird. I don't. It's weird. It's uncomfortable, and I have to remind myself who I am and what my truth is. Because when I don't, I get caught up in what I think they're thinking or what they're giving across through whatever persona where they're coming across, and I can take it home with me, and let that be the viewpoint in which I view the world. And it's not true. You know, and I say that because I have to say that I have to stand up to myself, inside myself, and be like, and shake it loose, and begin to do that, and recognize I am here to bridge the gap. Elaine and Paige, and understanding and knowing my role has been helpful. That I'm not supposed to fit in, I'm supposed to stand out.
Yes.
And having these go-to mindset thoughts when these things do happen is critical, so that I don't create a belief that doesn't support my desired outcome. Right. And so it's like, I'm here to bridge the gap and demonstrate what's possible. It's okay if I feel out of place. It's okay if I feel a little bit lonely here. It's okay. You know, it's okay that I'm living in a new neighborhood. Everyone here got their clicks, you know, and here comes Fidel, this guy, right? And it's like, I see the party over there. I see the backyard safe social distancing over there. And I'm like, but what about me? and all the things that happen. And I'm like, and it's okay. And so there's statements like that, and it's okay.
And
I don't need to fit in with everybody.
That's right.
I'm here to create community. And there's a place of vulnerability here with this, because people can't, I learned this for me, like the way I'm living my life right now is as a result of my own experiences and what I've had to do to get to this point. And for me, learning to be vulnerable in a way, which is to fully expose the real me, Fidel as Fidel, with my insecurities, with my fears, with my stress, like all of the things, right? Leading and learning to be myself has given me, it's been vulnerable, but it's only then can people truly see me. It's only then.
Yeah.
Even as, and my passion sometimes really pushes people. People are like, I can't handle that. And I've learned over time is that when you're really passionate, it's not that I used to take it as people don't want to be around me. But sometimes people just feel intimidated because they recognize it's in them and they're just not there yet. And it's like that, it's just too much for them to take in. And so learning that on the journey of it's them, it's not me. I'm having these go-to mindset shifts. When the more vulnerable I am, the more free I feel. But it starts off scary. Like literally Adam and Eve in the garden, like you taking off, there's the moment in my life, the analogy is this, I had held this fig leaf up in my life. And I remember the moment this vision came in just like this. And this is when I lost my job. This is the very beginning. I was like, I don't know. And I was like, I know I am more than what I am right now. And I don't know what I am. But I know I'm hiding right now. There's something more. And I'm like, I want to remove this fig leaf that I've been hiding behind my entire life. I don't even know who this person is, but I want to know. And I made this decision that I'm going to pull this leaf. I'm going to throw it to the ground. And I'm not going to put the leaf back. That was a critical decision right there. Because I can totally go back and find my comfort. And the journey of my life has been, okay, I'm walking through life feeling ashamed and I'm covering myself. I don't want everyone to know my failures. I don't want everyone to know that I don't have it all together. Hey, you know what I mean? I don't want anybody to know when I'm moving and I'm struggling being a military spouse. I don't want everybody to know. I'm just going to keep it to myself. I'm just going to cower down. People are going to say, how are things going? Things are great, but I'm really like scared. And when we're in this place, people, you think you're fooling people, but imagine seeing me covered naked down, walking through a crowd. Like, I'm fine, right? And people like, you're saying you're fine, but it's written all over your face that this is not who you are, that you're not fine. And so it's that place of that decision, removing the leaf, this is who I am. And along the way, I remember starting to feel more comfortable being myself. As dancing is one of the things I love to do. But in crowds, for the longest time, I felt paralyzed. I'll be wherever I am and people will dance. Or there'll be music playing and say nobody's dancing. I would be like, I really want to dance. I really want to dance. But what are people going to think? What are people going to say? Like, what's the thing? Even in business and in life, how many times did we say, I really want to do this thing, but no one's on the floor yet. No one has created this offer yet. No one has created this product yet, or no one has done this. How many times to say, here I am. I'm like, I really want to, and then I don't. And then somebody else goes and they dance. And then all of a sudden everybody's dancing and I go up to dance and it's not the same. I know what it feels like when you know you should do something and you don't do it, it burns. And then I remember building up that confidence to get there, be like, oh, I really want to, and I still don't do it. And I failed and then beat myself up. Like, why couldn't you just go up there and dance? And then I remember, like that moment, the music was playing. I'm like, this is my moment. This is my moment. I'm going up. And I started to walk. I could see people looking at me and I'm like, oh man, I'm so uncomfortable. Like and I remember, no joke, I walk up and I was standing on this end of the stage and I take a breath. I'm like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. And I just started dancing. And so every time you see me dancing, I literally go back because I remember. And it's because of me not feeling free is what empowers me to be, because I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
And if I don't act on it when it shows up, it's as if to go back into the past. And it's like, no, this is it, to be able to act and being able to do it. I went to a Burn Bouchard event 2 years ago, and I remember the music was playing, and it's even more people now. And I'm like, I really want to dance. Nobody was dancing. I went right up to the front, and I just started dancing my heart out, right? Like King David, like in front of this, here we go. Like, I don't even care. I'm dancing my heart out. And I remember like, is no one gonna come up? And there was a moment where I almost like, okay, that's enough. I danced, I did the thing. And now I'm getting uncomfortable because I'm by myself. right? And there was a moment where somebody else came up. And then all of a sudden, everybody's up and they're dancing. Right? You know, and I was like, ah. And so this journey of vulnerability, and eventually you get comfortable being naked, being who you are. And then somebody will walk up to you and will point a finger and they will say, I see you. I knew it all along that you're this way. And because you fully revealed yourself and that you're fully being who you are, people now get to know you up front and there's no more proving, because you are what you are. And the folks that do come into your life, it's this place of, you know, they accept you for who you are because you've been you the entire time.
That's right. You are the spark, and that is what you help other people bring out in themselves and in their lives.
Yeah.
Man, Fidel.
I mean, so, I'm just getting started. And I want to say, there's no way that I would even be here right now if it wasn't for you, Elaine, if it wasn't for you, Paige. Like you, people in our lives bring a piece to this bigger puzzle that we don't even know what it looks like yet. Because, you know, you're saying all these amazing things, but you've been a difference maker. I mean, you've invited me into a stage, especially the moments where I decided I wanted to speak more. You really provided that opportunity for me to see myself and to really take the action to own a decision that I made. The love that I received from the audience, the experience, the whole validation of, yes, I can do this, has come from your friendship, and then being able to meet you, Paige, right? And bigger than life coming in and hearing all the things and be able to see you in person. I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, it's huge.
Yeah. Well, I think that we don't always see we don't see what other people see in us, right? And I saw those gifts and talents within you maybe before you realized that you had them yourself. You know, I knew that you had something to say, and I knew that you could impact people with your words, with your thoughts, with just who you were. You know, I knew that you had something to give, and it was my pleasure to be able to invite you to the various places that I could, because I knew this guy can make an impact, and that is part of my mission. And so it's kind of like, hey, let's do this together. Let's make an impact.
Let's all do it.
You two do that so well, because when I heard of you, Elaine, you know, I'm so glad I crossed connecting here to Paige, because I'm like, how do I get more Paige in my life, you know? And now I'm like, yes, I get more Paige. You know, you started like organizations and like things in community. I mean, it's kind of like every time you see a need or something in community, I mean, there's something being created, and it's been even like outside of your business. And so if there was like anyone who knows what it's like to create a movement like with community, it was like, wow.
I know, she's pretty awesome. And I keep telling her, the sooner she realizes,
look out.
Let's get it together.
Get it together.
Let it be messy. Let it be messy.
That's right.
Yep.
So one of the things that we always talk about on our podcast is our motto. And my motto stays the same. Elaine's changes with the season or where she is in that particular moment, you know, where it's needed, right? And so we would love to know what your motto is. My motto is, I deserve to be here. So right here at this time, at this moment, maybe it's not where I thought I was supposed to be or doing or whatever, but because of all the things that I've been through and all the contributions that I've made and all the things that I've learned, I deserve to be here in this moment. Do you have a motto that you live by?
Yes, mine changes.
Okay, awesome.
I don't want to say it changes, but what I've learned is I have a set of themes that I use in my life. Right. And so it's like, okay, I have themes and they're all my mottos, fidelisms, you know, and all the things, and they all kind of go with me, and I pull on them whenever I need them. Right. And so I have themes. But you said an example for me that totally helps me pick one. Picks one. And it's, I was born for this moment. I was born for this moment. And that helps shift fear, concern, being on stage, like whatever. It's like, this is, and with that, it's like, I was born for this moment, you know, and it's like, hey, this is it. It's the moment I've been waiting for. It's that whole theme and getting excited. Like, this is it. Because all you need is the spark, right? It's just that moment, making this moment everything. Whether it's my daughter who's sitting on the step, who's crying, and something's happening. I'm like, this is the moment I've been looking for. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Because I was born for this moment. Like, life happens, things happen. I'm like, okay, I'm enough. I'm an abundant. Yes, showtime, baby. Let's go. I have everything that I need because I'm here. But it's around that moment. I was born for this. This is my moment. So I've been looking for this moment. And
I love that. And Elaine, this week, would you like to share your motto?
So the badass affirmation that was staring at me in the face, because I was talking about this yesterday with somebody. The one that's on the top is, today I will be my own fucking cheerleader. Right? We don't need anyone else. We just need to be our own cheerleader and be our biggest fans, right? And that sometimes we wait and rely on other people to give us our own confidence. And I think that it really needs to come within ourselves.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
And you need to celebrate more than anybody else can celebrate in your life. You know, it's kind of like,
Yes. Every Friday in our Polka Dot Diamond group, we celebrate every Friday. What are you celebrating? Like, big or small, we want to celebrate with you. The little things, you know, the minute things, doesn't matter. Like, everything is worth celebrating. Even the failures, even the lessons, those are also worth celebrating. Like, you can't always just wait for the big wins. Like, you got to celebrate all, you know, the entire time. Right?
Big time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Non-negotiables.
Yeah. So the other thing we always ask everyone is, how have you built a life by design and not default?
Yes. How have I built a life by design and not default? Starting with the vision for what I want my life to be. That shifts and changes, or evolves and reveals itself just through time. And being intentional to take steps in the direction of the desired goal and place that I want to be, and to continue to back that up with action in spite of how I feel. And what that looks like is sometimes making badass investments in things, surrendering, doing things that doesn't actually make sense but feels like it's right, and just fiercely following my heart, and be willing to surrender and to receive, to make it happen. So in a way, it's risking it all. It's saying, here's the vision, here's what I see. I don't know the plan, but I'm going to show up and be intentional about it, on purpose and with purpose. So I love the name of this, because one of the things I say all the time is on purpose with purpose, you know? And so it's why am I doing this? Taking that time, even on what it looks like on a daily basis. And I'm not perfect at it, but it's a lifestyle and a practice. It's what am I thinking? Why am I thinking this? Choosing my thoughts, choosing my words, knowing what am I speaking to? But you can't live a life by design if you don't know what the design is.
Right. What the intention is.
Absolutely. What the intention is. But the moment you decide and you gain some clarity, you know, it's now, you know, you have like, you take a step to get there, and then it changes, and you take another step, and it reveals to you the path forward and how to do that. But
Oh, Fidel, we could talk forever.
We
are so excited that you're going to be one of our keynote speakers at our Level Up to Scale Up Summit, which is happening May 21st and 22nd, 2021. If you have not grabbed your ticket, you will want to do that. We have a few options available. A general admission ticket is $297. We also have a VIP option as well for $697, where you get a lot more goodies and some more bonus items. But we are so excited that Fidel is not only going to be a keynote speaker, but he is also going to be one of our panelists. So he will be available for questions. He is also dropping us some knowledge bombs with a masterclass as well. So if you haven't signed up, you can go to level up to scaleupsummit.com and find out all the information.
Actually, it's leveluptoscaleup.com page.
There we go. Leveluptoscaleup.com.
You get that, Dia.
You get it. You get it.
You want to send them to the right place. We'll put it in the show notes for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Fidel, for coming to, just drop your juiciness on us. As I was mentioning, I was like, I'm going to send you all the juicy details because I knew this conversation was going to be juicy.
Yeah.
And full of just really great Fidel-isms, as we call them. And he always loves to say, what do we call it? You got Fidizzled.
So people have come up with most of these. And even the Fidelisms or even Fidazzle, all the things.
Yeah.
I couldn't even say that out of my own mouth. I'm like, I feel like I'm talking about like, this is weird, and people are like, oh, I've been Fidazzled, or you just Fidazzled me, all the things. And I'm like, you say it, I'm not going to say it. And then,
I love it.
But I'm like, I got to own this thing. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Absolutely. But thank you for having me here today. I know that if Paige or Elaine invites you to something or says this is going on, I know you got to say yes. Absolutely, because there's more coming down the road, and I know that if I say yes to you two, my gosh, I'm saying yes to all these other things that are happening, and I don't want to miss out on what you're putting together and the goodness and what you have here in the world. So for those of you that are listening, when there's something that goes out there, you can feel that spark in your body because you're supposed to be a part of it. Just say yes. Get the VIP. Get a level. Get started. Do something because it's going to open the doors and it's going to change your life.
Right. Right.
Hearts.
And it's all just about. It's part of the puzzle piece, right? It's part of the journey and part of the bricks. You're gonna. I think Shannon said this one time at a polka dot event that every person has a brick for you, right? Every person you meet has a brick for you, and you can either choose to build a path or build a wall.
That's right.
And these bricks that we're about to give you are part of your path, we hope, and not part of your wall. So, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Thank you again, Fidel. We have massive love for you. So
we love you, Fidel.
Love you
Keep
too.
Shining bright.
Awesome.
Ignite that spark.
Thanks, sisters.